being vulnerable and choosing to be vulnerable is just that. It's a choice. Simply a choice to allow yourself to be vulnerable to a degree. We don't have to jump into the deep end of the pool right away. You can dip your toe into what vulnerability is all about for you. But just making that choice and being willing to then take the steps toward being vulnerable is really all it takes. But it's a mandatory step in many different areas, but it's certainly toward healing. And it's one reason why with INVITAS, we're working in a healthcare center, an environment that's boutique. It's spa-like, spa elements are integrated into the design so that you step into a world that's not clinical and medical. I've been in practice for almost 25 years as a doctor of holistic and functional medicine. I'm a primary care doctor. So many environments that are healthcare related are just that. They're clinical, bright lights, hard plastic chairs, waiting rooms full of people, and it's unnerving to say the least to step into an environment like that. And many people have, furthermore, white coat syndrome when they see the doctor and their blood pressure goes up. It's real. So the environment is conducive to relaxation and to assisting people as they step in to immerse themselves in an environment that's conducive to being vulnerable and helping oneself be available for what kind of work can be done at that time.
I mean, being able to let yourself feel, it's becoming harder because we are so tense about everything that's going on these days, and especially for men. You and I will agree that we find it more difficult than women to let that vulnerability show, and it will turn out to be in the long run, it could turn into an illness of some kind.
This is the reason why, and thank you for bringing that up. This is the reason why so many men, in particular, everybody of course, but men, they struggle with all kinds of chronic illnesses, inflammatory conditions, and in fact, statistically speaking, men, they pass away and transition years on average before women. And it's because, in part, they don't express and allow themselves to feel and to connect with those parts of their body that are talking to them with symptoms, just on the level of body, let alone what men, especially more than women per se, bottle up emotionally and mentally, being stuck with thought patterns, beliefs and ideas that really don't serve in some ways, but box people in other ways. And all of that compressed, stuffed, suppressed energies do make people sick. I don't always want to put everything under the umbrella of stress or stress management, but it is true. And even other mainstream doctors would agree that as many as 90% of illnesses are psychosomatic. It's the mind affecting the body, or as Richard would say, and has for a couple episodes, mindset. It's critical when approaching what's coming up in your life, whether it's a healing journey, performance, how you are working to develop a relationship with yourself and others. Mindset is critical. And men don't allow themselves to connect and feel. And women, they're better at this because maybe generationally, it may be more socially accepted, encouraged. You know, with men, it's suppressed. And this is something that has been perpetuated for too long.
Boys don't cry.
Boys don't cry. Exactly.
That song from The Cure.
Exactly, yeah. It's funny. We were just looking at postmodern British invasion in the 80s, new wave music just last night. So many of those great bands were British. But anyway.
You and I could do a show about it.
We could. Eat your heart out, everybody. But you're right. It's stereotypical because it's true. Boys and then men, they're expected to suppress their feelings. Whether it's not just cry, but to be anxious or nervous, to be scared, right, frustrated, and it comes out when it is expressed, because energy in motion. Emotions is energy in motion. It has to come out in some way. And it's going to come out in ways that are not sophisticated all that often. Anger can be a very constructive emotion, energy, for example. But if it's coming out through a character being that's too compressed, it's going to be misrepresented as something that could be dominant, violent, oppressive, whatever, and not in its pure sense as constructive, helpful as all of these emotions and energies are. When it is expressed, it comes out all wrong. And men are going to say something, I mean, everybody can do this. You're going to say something in a way that you didn't really mean on the essential level. And people aren't going to hear it in the way that you want them to hear. And number two, while it's being poorly expressed, every other thing that's being suppressed is bottling up and creating symptoms inside your own body.
Okay, so the question would be, what do we do?
What do we do?
What do we do about it?
The question of the hour. So again, it's a choice.
Now that we found the problem, what do we do about it?
Excellent. So it's about making a choice. You, first and foremost, you deserve to have the levels of wellness, well-being, and fulfillment that are available. To whatever capacity you can keep those elements or qualities within your life and lifestyle, you deserve. You're number one. Your self-care is paramount. In fact, if you don't take care of those needs, how can you help engage effectively with anybody else? You're number one. So first and foremost, it's that part of mindset is recognizing that you deserve to have those levels of fulfillment and well-being at your fingertips. Secondly, we have to take choices, make choices that move us in the direction of more and more availability and vulnerability. We don't have to be, like I said, jumping in with both feet. Just open a little and accept that even I leave a little bit. I can be a little bit more incrementally more vulnerable today as I'm willing to and allowing myself to even pick up the phone and call or text a therapist, a center, a coach, a doctor. We at INVITAS, as you may have heard, we offer free well-being assessments just to touch base. It's important to reach out and start that conversation. This is the first thing, is connect because you deserve, make a choice and reach out, be vulnerable at least to that degree. And then we move in the direction of more and more vulnerability as you gain courage in taking those steps and seeing and realizing the benefits can be so worthwhile when I make room for healing, for transformations emotionally, mentally, physically, socially. If I'm too boxed in and not willing to look or make myself vulnerable, there's no room for change oftentimes. So we've designed a center, as I mentioned, that's boutique and spa in its feel, which makes it easier to be and remain vulnerable. But that's really it, is making that choice because you deserve it and moving in that direction. You don't even have to know what the end goal is. Just take that choice, go in that direction, and things will reveal themselves little by little along those lines. But in the essence of things, this is all that it takes.
Remind us the services that INVITAS provide at your location here in South Miami.
So I'm a primary care doctor, so I'm the medical director and coordinator of this team. Just like your family doctor, I provide family medical general practice services, but all holistic and functional. I don't prescribe medications. I've been practicing 25 years. My specialty, one of a few, is acupuncture. So we offer general medical services, diagnostic testing, and lab work, acupuncture, nutritional counseling, all kinds of massage therapy, mental health counseling, and hypnotherapy, hypnopuncture. We do IV vitamin infusions for detox and for vitamin boost to performance and diagnostics. We do IV, as you may have seen on our shows. There's a whole team of us that work together as specialists, but we also collaborate as well. So you might be familiar, let's say, with massage therapy. It's a good and approachable step as far as vulnerable goes. But even if you're working with a massage therapist, all the other aspects of holistic and collaborative are available and can be filtered through the lens of massage therapy. And who knows, maybe with some courage, you delve into these other areas of treatment by working with other coaches, therapists, and doctors that are on our team.
Tell us your findings on what does emotion do, or emotions do in a body, like this particular topic of vulnerability. When somebody they don't allow themselves to feel, no. So what could happen? You can tell, but because you apply these needles, you can sense. Besides, you have an incredible intuition. So how do you sense that blocked, restrained emotion in the body?
Excellent. Great question. Of course, we want to start with the obvious, and then there are subtle. So this way, you won't have to believe me, because you've experienced this, as all human beings have. When we have stuck emotions and there's tension, our neck and shoulders get tight, okay? In fact, you might be, let's say, working at a computer, and your shoulders are up around your ears like this. These muscles store our tension and our stress. So neck-shoulder tension is a very common experience. People get headaches. Their eyes twitch, or their face might be paralyzed because the tension puts pressure on those nerves. Okay? You might be driving a car and your knuckles are white on the steering wheel. It's a clear sign that you're under some amount of pressure. The body is giving you feedback because you're having sensations. So don't believe me. You've experienced this. Moreover, many people come in because they have high blood pressure or acid reflux, right? These are physical symptoms that are oftentimes connected directly to what stress is doing inside the body and how stress is affecting those organs. You can see with lab work, cortisol levels go up, your hormone levels change. Of course, you develop fertility issues, maybe sleeping problems. There's a whole list that we can experience just from stress and tension, emotions that get bottled up. It affects your organs and how they function. We have this experience. So this is the obvious. But again, about making choices. First, we have to be willing and available to listen to what our body is giving us by way of feedback. We want to try and catch on to these sensations as early as possible. Don't wait until your knuckles are white on that steering wheel. You want to be with it to a degree where you can be breathing and checking in and clearing tension and making yourself available for that level of performance before you even turn on the ignition. Refreshing periodically to make room for that feedback and catch it earlier so that the subtlety that's available can be managed before it becomes a management by crisis situation, which it is for most people in the healthcare arena. Who goes to their doctor unless there's a crisis? Other reason that men typically suffer with chronic illnesses. Men don't go to the doctor as often. Women do. By the way, this is why women's healthcare insurance premiums in the U.S. are higher than for men. Women go to the doctor. Men don't, so you want to be willing to listen.
We try to avoid going to the doctor. At least in the Latin culture, they believe, avoid doctors, avoid lawyers,
Well, I can't speak for lawyers, although you know what they say about 20 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean or whatever. It's a good start. I'm just kidding. Some of my best friends are lawyers. I kid because I love. But it's true. Being willing to take a look and being vulnerable and taking that choice. For some people, the misperception is weakness. I'm going to go to the doctor because something's wrong with me. I'm not functioning as the MVP that I believe that I am or could be. There's weakness there. It's not true. We all need help. About lawyers, right? The guy who defends himself in court has a fool for a lawyer. You can't do it all. Not even Superman can save us all. It's important to lean on people who have an expertise, even if they're just a sounding board for you. Be vulnerable to reach out. You deserve. It's not weakness at all. In fact, the counterintuitive here is that you become stronger and more capable at the end of the day because you can put out these fires before they burn the forest down. It's a sign of strength to invest in your health care and your levels of wellness and well-being, and do it for yourself, your family, your business partner, and everybody else in the world with you. You know, it's a burden for others to have to carry the weight of a loved one. Not that many people are unwilling to do so, but what can we ourselves do before it gets to that point of catastrophe?
And so many of us, I mean, have seen it. We've been there, and we know how it feels. It's about time that we talk about these topics. We really let all these things, emotions, come out. There's nothing wrong in admitting that we are under so much pressure.
So much. And
just the fact of letting go, letting ourselves accept and say, yes, I am going through this. And it's not easy. It's not easy what's going on for many of us. I mean, for the whole humanity. Some people think they're right, whereas the other group, because it's so polarized right now. So polarized, so much tension. And it's good to always, go back to these basics about the experience of the body, return to your senses. They talk about a lot about that. Return to your senses. Wow. Because we are so distant. We're so much in our head.
So much.
We live in our head. And one day we're so much here that their body will say bye-bye.
Right, it's inevitable.
You're not with me. You're not walking with me.
It's true. And this is a big problem, because in our head we can only handle a limited amount of information, and it risks so many misperceptions and misunderstandings. We tell ourselves stories about what we're perceiving, and only have a small sliver of the whole picture that we're misunderstanding, even at that. And mental, emotional, physical are only components of what we really are. We're embodied souls traveling in this vehicle of a human body. But even that level of infinite power on the level of the soul is still maybe only hovering around us. What we're really capable of, it's not engaged and embedded in who and what we really are. So when we think and we feel and we do, we're operating in a way like automatons, going through patterns and motions that don't serve us first and foremost, and are based on stories oftentimes that just aren't true. And we feel, if you're so lucky to allow yourself to feel, but what comes out isn't in its purest sense of what is anxiety and anger and fear. There are nutrients in all of that, and we can be friends with those feelings and the sense of, and can be used very constructively. Look, things have been polarized and becoming more polarized over the last few years. Let's not, as Kike said, worry so much. Worry, but don't panic. Okay? Worry, but don't panic. Corporations, governments, there are some out there, of course, that have our best interests in mind, but they're designed to make money, to handle an operations or a scheme or whatever, for whatever the reason is, without getting into a conspiracy theory here. But the common denominator is the fact that we're all human beings. Humanity is in it together. Don't worry about this and that. Look for the commonality in each other. Even the most wicked person at their core is a human being that's imbued with those qualities of love, harmony, intelligence, power, and trust in that. It's hard to see if we're talking just from one character to another, but on the level of fully available person, even if it's a little, talk from person to person, from being to being, not only from character to character.
I'd like to appeal to your knowledge of ancient and especially Eastern practices, and their practice of Tai Chi,
Aikido, and yoga in particular.
Exactly. So how does in combat, or at least in these encounters, how is vulnerability managed? How do you read that? How do you interpret?
I thank you for bringing that up. This is the reason I
Somebody has to do the job, like ask the hard questions.
It's true. It's true. Like Tai Chi, yoga also to a less obvious extent, Aikido is the art of peace. It's a martial art that's not unlike, in some ways, jujitsu, judo, those kinds of things. You see people, they're falling down. There's this kind of, it can be very dramatic and acrobatic on some level, but the emphasis here is on peace and harmony. So in terms of combat, and this is one reason I love Aikido in particular, is I may be less effective if I worry so hard to work on the other person. I got to stop that person from committing violence against me or somebody else. I'm going to go get that guy or that gal and figure the situation out. And you're coming every time out of your own self to manage whatever variable in the world around you needs to be managed. Guess what? There's a whole universe of variables that are working around you in the world that you're in. You can't and aren't supposed to manage them all, or any of them. I mean, mitigate what you can. Don't let yourself get pounded and beat up. Well, maybe the best thing is to give somebody your wallet. I don't know. Why fight? But the emphasis can't be out there. On these arts, they're internal martial arts. We turn our attention inside. What can I do for myself to maintain balance and stability and power and make enough room within those qualities so that the attacker can fit inside that space? I can protect me and I can protect the attacker, because that person is crazy. Only insane people, attack and hurt others. Reasonable people don't do that. So if I break that person, it's only adding fuel to the fire ultimately. So this is a philosophy that I've applied across the board with stress management, is the combating with life. Life is not a way you can punch and kick and manipulate your way through. The boardroom, a heart-to-heart with your loved one, you're not going to punch and kick, hopefully, your way through that. It's more in, how do you stay comfortable under pressure? How can you make enough room so that all of those energies that would otherwise push and pull, they can fit and you can blend and dance with them? And in a way, lead those seemingly violent at first energies, lead them to a place where they can be harmonized, restored to balance. But it starts with you. Of course, for combat, there's always somebody bigger, stronger, faster. If I worry about that, I'll never get started. But it starts with you. What can you do to maintain your own availability and reference points of peace so that those things around you, they at least bother you less? And who knows, maybe you can mitigate them with your own, radiant peacefulness or whatever. And again, choose. I can choose to invite that person. That bully needs love more than anybody,
Suddenly I get this understanding that sometimes vulnerability will be the best weapon.
Oh, absolutely. Look,
because when you express, what you express will be picked up by the other.
Absolutely. It's a relationship.
It can be contagious.
We should hope so.
Or infectious, I should say. It should be something, vulnerability sometimes will be our savior in so many ways.
I think so.
I believe in this day and age could be. And I always have to say, like, returning to our innocence, returning to our most purest form will be always our way out, will be our exit.
Yes. Why swim upstream? As one of my teachers said, you can't push a rope. There's all slack. If there's a push, then you pull. If there's a pull, you push. Yin yang. Don't fight fire with fire. And not just with the combat sense, with life. How do you handle pressures that are not physical, but they're emotional, mental, social? Being vulnerable is important because first we have to recognize and make room and feel. and feel genuinely and authentically what's happening here. Who am I that's feeling that feeling? Is it a character type? Or is it who I really am with more available to him or herself, to oneself? What's really going on here? So that we have enough balanced, centered, other reference points like that allow us to feel and develop in a balanced way and not box ourselves into tighter and tighter, less functional spaces for the combat of life. This is why I put Aikido, just to digress for a moment. Interested in the martial arts, but with a punching and a blocking and a kicking, there's a sparring and a fighting that goes on out there, which A, it's not obvious in the world of the mental and the emotional, right? And B, am I going to train my whole life for a fight, physical, that might never come? God forbid. We're not, ambushed every time we walk out of our office. It's not likely, not never, but it's not likely that this is the thing that you should train so that unconsciously your mechanisms are for defense and blocking. No, you want to be inclusive, not blocking. How can I make room so that whatever's coming my way, I can dance with it and not fight it? We won't grow or find the nutrients there when we approach life that way, for what it's worth.
And also it's very obvious, it's for me right now, that sometimes the worst enemy, the most threatening enemy, it's inside of you. Mm-hmm. You have to sometimes, all those movements that you were just doing, like sometimes you gotta go like that, just inside of you. Mm-hmm. And it would be nice just to be off guard for a moment and say it's not worth it. Like
it.
All
this is the
all
counterintuitive
destruction that I'm going through.
This is why it's counterintuitive, because to be vulnerable means actually you're more on guard, in a way. Maybe not the right words, but there's more of you available, more intuition, more of your faculties. If I'm not vulnerable, I don't have that stuff at my disposal. Mm-hmm. You're actually more on guard than being off guard. I'm not drifting and loose without a rudder or a sail in the ocean. I'm even more present and available when I'm vulnerable, because now I can feel and be my authentic self, or more of.
It's like having broader options.
Definitely. Always things will lead toward performance and fulfillment and function on a higher level and in a higher, finer dimension with those options available. But we have to know that we're worth it, take that choice, be vulnerable even a little, but keep moving in that direction. And if misunderstandings come to your attention, clean them. If your body's giving you feedback, address it and look for the sooner. Don't wait till it's management by crisis, because you and everyone around you will suffer to a degree, and it may be needless at that.
We just love listening to you, Dr. Newman, and we definitely want to be in that space of understanding, clarity, and just letting go of so many preventions that we have, so many, we're so uptight about everything. We should just, for a moment, at least once a day, let everything go and just go back to the basics. Mm-hmm. And one of them is to be the way we come to this world, actually, and we are we're taken care of.
So true.
In so many ways. So it's been another great talk, and always wonderful to have you here. Remember, Dr. Justin Newman, along with Richard Vitamin Rich Rocha, they both manage this beautiful operation down in southmiami. It's called invitasforlife. You can check their website. You will learn about all the services and options you will have just by calling, visiting. You can get anything from massage, acupuncture, hypnotherapy, life coaching, vitamin infusion, which is so important because we're not getting enough nutrients right now from food. So all of these you can find at Invitas for Life.
Please reach out to us. Message us through our Insta page. Email us. through our website. That phone number, you can call, you can text us. Again,
please.
The assessments are free, so reach out.
I'm missing right now that, no, I got it. It's 305
Yes.
663 5696.
Call, text. You don't have to know, I'm interested in acupuncture. Again, you're vulnerable, you're worth it. Take that step and reach out. What's holding you back from living your best life? Let us know. We'll make suggestions. There's no obligation to walk this path with us, but what's holding you back from living your best life as your best self? Let's together put some light on that. That piece, that conversation is free. We love to see the quality of life is elevated in our community. And in this way, it's a win-win-win. Let's work together and make that happen. We're here for you.
And we thank you for that. Dr. Justin Newman, it's been wonderful.
Thank you, Kike, and everyone for your time.
Look forward to meeting you again next week here at the IAAM channel, along with Aldea Global and Invitas for Life. That's it for now. My name is Kikeposada, and we thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.